Here's the honest truth when it comes to making real running progress. Some runs are going to feel great. Others will feel like you're about to die. You'll get better over time, but it ain't going to be easy. It's full of ups and downs, just like life. You've just got to keep showing up and trudge through it. Let's now literally cut to a frame of my own progress. And if you pause the video, you'll be able to see literally a frame of my progress. I can't exactly remember what it looks like, but from what I can remember, it starts off kind of normal. We're making slow, reasonable progress, and then I think I perk up in a bit, and it goes kind of up and down a bit, and then towards the midway point, I think it goes up and then down, and then it kind of perks up towards the end. All I want to say is running progress is not going to be this upwards curve. It's going to be up and down a lot, and you've just got to take it in your stride. Try not to think too much about it. Every run is going to be different, but as long as you're making slow, reasonable progress, and over time it's slowly increasing despite the ups and downs, you're heading in the right direction. An obvious one: don't overdo it. Don't overdo running. Keep it small and then progress over time. Simple as that. If you've never run before, go to once a week. Honestly, just doing it once and creating the habit is probably one of the easiest things you can do. And then from then on, you'll have all the time in the world. You'll have all the time in the world to increase the frequency of how much you do it, and then also the length of time you're doing it for. If you've never done something before, doing it once for, 1 to 2 minutes, that is honestly the cornerstone of starting and forging a new habit. If you try and make someone who's never done something before and try and make them doing it for, 20-30 minutes, like let's say you get someone who's never run before and try and tell them go on a run for 20 minutes, they're probably not going to be able to do it because the thought of doing that is overwhelming because they've never done it before. Don't overdo it. Start small. I think that's fairly obvious. And also another one, try not to make unnecessary comparisons. Just don't be an idiot when it comes to this kind of thing. I used to go on runs with a good friend of mine, and we were kind of like, I don't know how to put this into words. We have different physiques. I am much heavier than he is. I think when we used to go on runs, I probably weighed around 85 and he was probably 70, 75 maybe. And it's unnecessary to make comparisons to people who have different circumstances to you. So my friend, who is lighter than I am and fitter than I am, can obviously run quicker than I can, and obviously run at a faster pace than I can. And when I used to go on runs, I used to try and match the pace of him. And what I'd find is that I'm obviously not fit enough and light enough to maintain a quicker pace that he's running at. So trying to do that kind of stunted my own progress because I should be going much slower because I'm heavier and kind of go at my own pace, which I can relax at. When I tried to match him, I felt like I was sprinting like 80% of the time, and that's obviously not what you want to be doing. So you've got to kind of realize what kind of pace and the manner in which you want to run is right for you. Obviously, if you're running with people, it just may be the case that you're not able to hold yourself up to their standard, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just means you're on your own path. I used to try and kind of match the pace he was running at, and what I'd find is I'd tire much quickly because I'm just not as fit and durable as he was. And sometimes you just got to accept it. You've got different physiques, you weigh different amounts. Of course, your running progress and the amount at which you can do in performance is going to be different. You just got to kind of accept it and keep going. When I kind of accepted it and started bringing up my own pace and kind of ignored whatever pace he was running at, I found that I made more progress because I stopped thinking about anything else that was going on around me, and I just focused on what I was doing, which was running at my own pace and just keeping at a constant speed and trying not to speed up too much, because my focus was to build stamina and endurance, whereas his was kind of to run a really quick 5k, in which he did. So that's the first point I wanted to say. Consistency is much better than intensity, especially if you're just starting out. We effectively want to get to a stage where we're running on average 2 to 3 times a week if you really want to take running seriously and have it be something you do for the rest of your life almost, and make real running progress in doing so. Take on the concept of progressive overload, which I've mentioned a number of times, which is starting small and then kind of like Lego pieces. You're kind of like adding extra bricks and slowly increasing the amount of time you're running for, or the distance you run for, or the speed you're running for. Increase some kind of metric you can track and slowly make it better over time. So let's say you're running for, I don't know, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 2.5, 3, 4, 5. Have a metric you can control and just try and improve that little by little every single time you step out and run. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to every single time, because there's going to be runs where you might plateau, or some where running feels literally impossible. But you just set the intention of saying, I want to be a little bit better than I was on my last run. And if you take that mindset, you will make progress. It's not going to be all the time, but you will make good progress. And if you keep that mindset and mentality, you will become a better runner. And depending on the metric you're focusing on, you will make good progress. In terms of my metric that I use most of the time, mine was the running time I plan to run for. So I ended up starting running for around, 8 minutes. And then I perked it up to 10, then 12, 12 and a half, 15, 20, 25, and then 30. So I focused on increasing the amount of time I was running for. So the real emphasis there is on your stamina and endurance and how long you can run for. Choose a metric and progressively overload that over time. And then for my final point, track your progress just to see how you fare. There are going to be days where you're well rested and you go for a great run, and there's going to be other days where you might be sleep deprived, but you still show up and go for the run anyway, and it's not as great. Or maybe you forgot to eat something, or maybe you're dehydrated. There's so many factors that can play into why a run wasn't as good. Or maybe the conditions outside don't really favor you to have a good run. Just kind of take each one you go for with a what's the phrase? I think it's with a pinch of salt. Take every run with a pinch of salt and just ensure that you keep showing up consistently. Running progress is not like this linear curve. It's not going to consistently go up and you never make any mistakes or never go up and down. It's going to look more like a heart rate monitor, like a zigzag. That's what your progress is probably more realistically going to look like. But what you'll notice is that when you first start, it'll start to look like a zigzag, and then as soon as you really bed that consistency in, you start to notice after like a few weeks of doing that consistently, it'll start to perk up. And then what you'll see is that consistency will start to level out and kind of perk up, kind of like how my progress looked a bit earlier in the video. I'm sure you remember the frame that I showed you of how my progress was very up and down, and that's probably what it's going to look like when you're first starting. And then it kind of starts to stable out a little bit, and then it really starts to shoot up as you remain consistent and stay focused on your goals, which my goal was to run for 30 minutes, which I ended up achieving after about 3.5 months. So my final takeaway from this video is that showing up, make that a habit. Keep your runs small and consistent with the intention to improve slowly over time. If you're new to running or never run before, it's probably going to take you longer than most people. If you have a certain goal in mind, most common beginners' goal is to run a 5K. It might take you longer than most people, but who cares? If you're able to do it at the end of the day, you can do said thing. No one's going to care how long it took you to do it. As long as you can do it and you're competent at doing it, it's kind of like passing a driving test. If it took you 20 attempts to pass your driving test, but you're a competent, safe driver, who's going to care how many times it took to pass? Maybe some people care, maybe like an ego thing, but it doesn't matter. As long as you can do said thing and you're competent and you're good at it, who cares how long it took you to get from A to B? You know what I mean? Just the fact you're watching means you're better than the people who just sit around and flip in, watch TV all day. Come on, bro, lock in. And that's where I leave you.